In October 1956, something unexpected happened inside the Soviet bloc. A protest in Hungary turned into a revolution. For nearly 2 weeks, it looked like Soviet control in Eastern Europe might collapse. Then the tanks arrived. This is the story of the Hungarian Uprising of 1956 and why it mattered far beyond Budapest. After World War II, Hungary fell within the Soviet sphere of influence. A communist government, backed by Moscow, consolidated power. Political opposition was crushed. Secret police monitored citizens. Economic policies followed strict Soviet models. By the early 1950s, resentment was widespread. When Soviet leader Joseph Stalin died in 1953, limited reforms began across Eastern Europe. In Hungary, reform-minded communist Imre Nagy briefly introduced softer policies, but hardliners soon regained control. Frustration continued building. On the 23rd of October 1956, students in Budapest organized a demonstration demanding political reforms, free elections, and the withdrawal of Soviet troops. What began peacefully escalated rapidly. Crowds toppled a massive statue of Stalin. Protesters clashed with the secret police. Within days, fighting spread across the capital. Soviet forces initially moved in, but then temporarily withdrew. It appeared the revolution might succeed. Imre Nagy returned to power and announced Hungary would leave the Warsaw Pact and pursue neutrality. That decision changed everything. For Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev, Hungary leaving the Soviet bloc was unacceptable. If one country exited successfully, others might follow. On the 4th of November 1956, Soviet forces launched a full-scale invasion. Thousands of tanks entered Budapest. The fighting was intense. Civilians armed with rifles and makeshift weapons resisted, but they could not match the Red Army. Within days, the revolution was crushed. Imre Nagy was arrested and later executed in 1958. Many Hungarians hoped the United States or NATO would intervene. They did not. The United States condemned the invasion but avoided military action. The risk of direct war with the Soviet Union was too high. Historian Tony Judt argues that Hungary revealed the limits of Western influence inside the Soviet sphere. The Iron Curtain was not just rhetoric, it was enforced by force. Around 200,000 Hungarians fled the country as refugees. Thousands were killed. The uprising showed that Soviet control in Eastern Europe depended on military power, but it also exposed deep dissatisfaction within the bloc. Historian Kramer notes that 1956 reshaped Soviet policy. Moscow would allow limited reform in the future, but not political independence. The message was clear. Dissent would be tolerated only to a point. The Hungarian uprising did not end the Cold War, but it revealed its reality. Behind ideological speeches and political alliances stood tanks. 1956 showed both the courage of ordinary people and the limits of resistance in a divided Europe. For the next 3 decades, the memory of Budapest lingered, a reminder that the Cold War was not always cold. Subscribe and leave a like.